Cheap tree removal solved. In this very short episode, we're going to have a look at how to get local and very cheap tree removal. First up, arborists versus gardeners. So an arborist, otherwise known as a tree lopper or a tree surgeon, are professionals in the game of care for trees in an urban environment. Now, gardeners and lawn maintenance type guys do the same type of work. If you do get a lawnmower garden maintenance person in to do the tree job, it is going to cost you probably 3 times less. The problem is they can only work on smaller trees. So basically anything smaller than 5 meters, a single story house, maybe something they can get to with a step ladder. Anything larger than that, they are unable to work on. So if it is a small job, I do suggest going down that route first before even thinking about trying to contact a tree services type company. Next up, grant better access. So a tree in the front yard of a property would cost half as much as the same size tree in the rear of a property. I'll say that again. So a tree, so you've got 2 trees, one in the front, one in the back. The one in the back can cost twice as much as the one in the front with no other factor other than it's in the backyard. So the reason for that is access. So we're looking at an image at the moment, and it shows 2 trees in the front and back that are fairly similar. The one at the back has very poor access. You can see, or you could imagine, anything in a front yard, you could back a truck right up to it. You could dismantle the tree quite quickly, throw it in the back of the truck, or the mulching machine, and hoist it off, and away you go. The one in the backyard, if it's got good rear access, just say there's a driveway and you can get your equipment nice and close to it, then it'll probably cost about the same. But if there's very poor access, so the tree might need to be dragged around through a sidewalk, then it's going to cost you a lot more to remove that tree. And it's just pure man hours because it's got to be dragged by hand. It's just going to take a lot more time, a lot more laborers, and it's going to cost you more money. So if you can grant better access, do it. Think about maybe a neighbor with rear access through a driveway. You can take out some of the fence. Maybe if you're back onto a park or a back alley or something like that. So it's worth investigating. Next up, fire sale. If you do have a tree, especially if it's in the backyard, I would ask for 2 quotes from your tree service professional, and this is going to save you a lot more money on bigger trees rather than small ones. But if you can ask them for a quote to remove the tree completely and a quote to remove the tree leaving firewood sized logs, so they'll just every say 12 inches or 30 centimeters every foot, they'll put a cut through the tree and leave it where it lays and just take all the smaller brush. You'll find that'll be a lot cheaper to have the tree removed that way. They don't have to handle as much of the waste. And B, once they're gone, you take a photo of it, put it on Gumtree or eBay, and someone will be more than happy to not only pay you money for it, but come around and lug it away themselves. So not only are you saving money on the front end with the quote itself, but you're actually saving money on the back end as well, because, well, recouping the money on the back end with the very valuable firewood. Now, winter is cheaper. You can imagine that tree services are seasonal, a bit like anything garden related, landscaping, lawn mowing. Lawn one's an easy one to imagine because it grows a lot slower, but just anything outdoors in general. People are outside less. They don't think about their garden as much. They don't worry about the trees as much. But when spring comes around and summer comes along, they tend to do a lot more work, and it's just seasonal. So you've got the same amount of tree services in winter as in summer, but there's a lot less work on in winter. So supply and demand says that in order for them to keep themselves busy, they generally quote cheaper prices. Now, it's not going to be massively cheaper, but you are going to save between 10 and 30% depending on the tree service that you get in. So definitely worth it. If you can wait to the cooler months, especially towards the end of winter, you'll definitely get a better deal. Room to work, a little bit like access, but it involves a few more things. You can imagine, for example, if a tree's in the middle of a front or backyard with nothing much around it, it's going to be a lot easier to climb and dismantle than it is if there's a power line running through it or if it's overhanging a house. But other things, they obviously, you can't do much about a house or a power line. But if it's in a, say, a backyard or a courtyard, or overhanging an ornate garden bed, there's many things that can be moved to make the life easier for the tree service, which in turn they'll end up charging you cheaper prices. So if your courtyard or backyard is cluttered with outdoor furniture, pot plants, or ornamental plants that are actually dug into the garden, think about removing those just for the job. You don't have to do it for the quote process, but make sure that they know that they can just go for it. Drop logs into the garden. Not if you're not too worried about the lawn as well. It's going to be a lot cheaper for them to tear up your lawn a little bit, and you just spread some topsoil over it, than them charging you an extra $400 or $500 because they have to tiptoe around your lawn or your garden. It's definitely, in my view, worth saving the money. Free waste removal. Now, this is definitely a bigger one with palm trees than other trees. Because palms can't be ran through a mulching machine. They can't be used on gardens as a mulch. So they have to be sent to the tip as general waste. So about half of, or between 40% and 50% of your palm removal costs is taking up in dumping fees, hauling it there, and the cost of dumping. So if you assure your tree service professional that they can just cut it, stack it out the front for a council cleanup, or they can just cut it up so it'll fit in the green bin and you can remove it over time into the green bin, you will save yourself literally 50% off your tree removal costs for palm trees in particular. So if you've got 8 or 10 palm trees, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get rid of it unless you have a council cleanup. It's best if you can line them up. But if you can't, and you can get rid of it in the green waste bin over a few consecutive weeks, you're going to save yourself quite a bit of money. So that's it from me. I hope this has been informative, and best of luck with your tree job. This is Ben.